Today, we're going on a bit of a dark journey, but it is absolutely crucial that we take it. We are diving straight into the newly unsealed secrets of a global network that has honestly just haunted the public consciousness for decades now. We're talking about the Epstein Files, that massive, overwhelming document dump that happened across 2025 and 2026. These are the files that literally shattered reputations overnight, ended careers, and finally exposed the inner workings of this elite circle that, well, a lot of people thought was just going to stay hidden forever.
So it brings up the question that's pretty much dominated international news for the last year. What actually happens when the world's darkest secrets are finally unsealed? The answer, as you're going to see throughout this explainer, is a completely devastating paper trail. We're talking millions of pages. Witness statements, flight logs, unredacted contact books, totally private emails, all dragged out into the broad daylight. And the fallout? It's been staggering, reaching all the way into the absolute highest levels of global power.
Section 1. Opening the Vault, the decades-long battle for transparency. Okay, getting these files out there wasn't just some overnight revelation. It was a massive, decades-long battle. To really get the gravity of what was being hidden, you gotta look at this timeline. Back in 2007, federal prosecutors actually had a draft indictment ready to go. They called it Operation Leap Year. It had 32 separate counts for enticement of minors and sex trafficking. But as we know, that entire 32-count indictment was just suppressed. Instead, we got that incredibly controversial 2008 plea deal. Epstein got a slap on the wrist, a mere 18-month jail sentence on state charges, which basically gave him federal immunity. That vault was slammed shut and locked until November 2025, when Congress finally passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, forcing all of this out into the open.
And this right here? This perfectly illustrates the sheer, oppressive scale of what they were hiding. 3.5 million. On January 30th, 2026, the DOJ dumped over 3.5 million pages of documents straight into the public domain. That's enough paper to fill a warehouse. And it wasn't just text either. The release included 180,000 images and 2,000 videos seized from his properties. It was just this sudden, totally overwhelming flood of data that took the whole thing out of the realm of internet conspiracy theories and grounded it in cold, hard, documented facts.
Section 2. The Political Network, the unredacted files of global leaders.
Now, these files really pull back the curtain on relationships with global leaders. And look, our goal right now is to just look impartially at exactly what the source documents tell us, completely skipping any political spin. Let's look at the facts. For Donald Trump, the files actually include a written record of an FBI interview with a former Palm Beach police chief. The document says Trump called the chief back in 2006, flat out stating that everyone has known he's been doing this and that people in New York knew he was disgusting. On the other hand, for Bill Clinton, the DOJ released a bunch of decades-old photographs. There are pictures of Clinton meeting with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell right in the White House in 1993. Plus, they released some newly unsealed photos of Clinton swimming in a pool and lying back in what looks like a hot tub. The documents just show how deeply embedded this whole network was, completely across party lines.
Section 3. Royals and elites, the billionaires, academics, and aristocrats.
Of course, this network extended way beyond just American politicians. It went right to the top of the aristocracy. And thanks to the files, we can track a direct path from documented action straight to some truly stunning legal consequences. For example, the files show that in 2009, British politician Lord Peter Mandelson appeared to be leaking highly sensitive UK government secrets directly to Epstein, even giving up the Prime Minister's secure email pseudonym. No way, right? The files also produced compromised photos of former Prince Andrew from 2012, showing him kneeling and touching a fully clothed female on her stomach. And the real-world fallout from this was fast. By February 2026, both Lord Mandelson and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor were dramatically arrested by British police on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Beyond the royals, you have the billionaire and academic network. Honestly, reading through this list is like looking at a who's who of global elites, and the communications are super unsettling. Bill Gates' name showed up in some bizarre emails written as a mock resignation from his foundation, complaining about procuring medicine for, quote, Russian girls. Now, Gates' spokesperson came out swinging, vehemently calling these absurd claims from a proven liar. Then you have Elon Musk. In 2012, he explicitly sent an email asking what night would be the wildest party on Epstein's island. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, caught in 2017 emails joking around with Epstein and trashing other politicians. Famed linguist Noam Chomsky was literally advising Epstein in 2019 on his media strategy, telling him to just ignore the allegations. And retail billionaire Les Wexner was actually listed in an undated FBI diagram as a potential co-conspirator. Though to be fair, Wexner strongly maintains he was only ever a victim of Epstein stealing his money.
Section 4. Mysteries in the Cell. The Unresolved Anomalies of August 2019.
Okay, so while we definitely know a lot more about who he hung out with, the files also seriously deepen the eerie, macabre mysteries around his actual death in federal custody. The newly released investigator emails lay out this frankly insane tactic used by the jail staff on the day they moved his body. It's like something out of a movie. Step 1. The staff at the Metropolitan Correctional Center physically built a fake body decoy out of boxes and sheets. Step 2. They load this dummy into a white medical examiner's van, perfectly baiting all the news cameras waiting outside. Step 3. While every reporter is chasing the decoy van, Epstein's actual body is quietly slipped out of the facility in an unmarked black vehicle, totally unnoticed. That level of deception just pours gasoline on the fire for anyone questioning this case.
And then we get to this. This is one of the most chilling, unresolved anomalies buried deep in the unsealed records. Investigators dug up a draft statement from the U.S. Department of Justice officially noting Epstein's death. The catch? The document is dated August 9th. Epstein died on August 10th. When the press confronted them about this incredibly prophetic document during the file release, the DOJ just officially brushed it off as an unfortunate typo. Let that sink in for a second. An unfortunate typo.
Section 5. A Global Reckoning. The International Fallout.
So dropping millions of pages of evidence didn't just rattle New York and London. It set off this massive domino effect all over the world. This table maps out some of the immediate fallout, and it's wild. In Slovakia, their national security advisor, Miroslav Lajčák, had to resign immediately after texts came out showing him joking around with Epstein about girls. Over in Norway, the parliament launched a formal inquiry into former foreign ministers named in the docs. But it gets so much darker than just political embarrassment. In Turkey, prosecutors opened real investigations into allegations that Epstein was actively trafficking Turkish minors. Lithuania kicked off a probe into the network recruiting local models. And in Latvia, the state police started investigating passport data of Latvian women that was found in Epstein's files, looking specifically into recruitment for sexual exploitation. This wasn't a local ring. It was a transnational operation.
Because this web was so massive and so global, a brand new term has actually entered the political dictionary lately: the Epstein class. You've probably heard it. It's this new term used by lawmakers and the public to describe a tier of impossibly wealthy, powerful individuals and dynasties who seem to operate with absolute impunity. For everyday people who actually have to answer to the justice system, it represents this stark, terrifying reality: a global capitalist class that sincerely believed the rules of legal and moral accountability simply didn't apply to them.
Actually, I think the United Nations Human Rights Council summed up the severity of the Epstein class better than anyone else. After they reviewed the implications of all these unsealed files, a UN panel came out and stated that the documents suggest a global criminal enterprise that committed crimes against humanity. They didn't say corruption. They didn't just say trafficking. They said crimes against humanity. That is incredibly heavy.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. But I want to leave you with a thought that honestly kind of haunts me. Lawmakers have pointed out that the DOJ originally identified 6 million pages of responsive documents in this case. Yet, they only released about half of that. These files have given us an absolutely unprecedented look into the dark heart of elite power. But if 3.5 million pages, dozens of arrests, and massive global human trafficking investigations only scratch the surface, what secrets remain forever buried with the Epstein class? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning everything, especially what remains in the dark.